You are listening to the Visions, Missions, and Manifestations podcast, the number one place for spirituality, healing, and transcendence. I'm your host, Vivian Raquel Braha. Now let's get into it. Hey there, it's Vivian, and I'm briefly interrupting this podcast episode because I've been working on something so special and I finally get to share it with you all. The manifestation event of the year. So excited. Manifestation Live. Learn how to manifest the shit out of your life. On February 1st, I'm hosting the manifestation event of the year right here in New York City. And if you are in the soulpreneur, wellness, or healing space, or you've been craving deep healing, powerful tools, and real transformation, this is your invitation to be in the room. This isn't just another event. It's a portal, a 2-hour full body activation where I'll be teaching my 5-step signature manifestation process, the same method that's helped me heal from Crohn's disease, manifest my dream apartment in New York City. If you guys haven't seen my terrace, go look at my pictures, go look at my Instagram, marry the love of my life, and build a 6-figure soul-led business that's now on its way to multi-figures. You'll also experience a guided shadow work meditation by Naz, a licensed therapist and shadow expert, to help you release any resistance, transmute fear, and fully step into your next level of self. So if you're really looking for that transformation, a place to really heal, learn, educate yourself, this is the place where you'll get all those tools and clarity, a roadmap to go off into the world and start manifesting the shit out of your life. And you'll meet some of the most incredible facilitators who've impacted my own journey, like Maria, who is an energy healer, Naz, like I just said, shadow work expert, Dr. Joan, a holistic health practitioner, Katie, oh my God, for all our VIPers, Katie is gifting her manifestation coloring books, okay? You know how when you color, you just get into that meditative state. Imagine you're in that meditative state where you're most susceptible to rewiring your mind and you're literally coloring manifestation affirmations. So you're really taking in all this positivity. And of course, we have Joy Duche, who will be facilitating and healing through sound and breath work. And last but not least, we have Sari Dana, body positive expert and author. So for all those VIPers, I am so freaking excited for you all to experience our facilitators, our sponsors, privately 45 minutes before the show starts. And then you'll also get a goodie bag to take home. Plus, everybody else, you'll get to experience the show, you'll get to experience the talk, learn so much, get all the benefits from Naz's shadow work meditation and Joy Duche's sound healing and breath work. So this is a room where expansion happens. This is a room where manifestations come into fruition. So if you've been feeling stuck, this is a really affordable way for you to get in the space, get in the room where people are actually doing incredible shit, breaking the barriers, breaking what it means to be human, doing things that every single day other people watching are just like, I didn't even know that was possible. And that is the exact mission, the vision of Journey with VRD. When somebody tells me, Vivian, how are you doing this? Or, oh my gosh, it's so incredible what you're doing and how you're helping people. And when people come to me and they're like, Vivian, I collapsed time. In 2 months, I manifested my soulmate. In 2 months, or 3 months sometimes, I manifested the most aligned friend group. I moved cities. I'm in a career that I can't stop talking about that's filling up my own heart. When people are doing these things, collapsing the time it takes, because before working with me, maybe it was taking them years, right? When people come to me and they heal, it's like, yes, I am so happy I gave you the gift of just realizing, of expanding your mind that it's possible to heal, it's possible to overcome, it's possible to get to where you want to be. You just have to believe. You have to overcome this fear, the doubts that come into your mind and tell you that you can't. And so at this live event, you are going to break those fears, those doubts, and you're going to actually get to collapse time and learn the tools, learn my story. I'm really excited for this. Tickets are now open for sale. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. You could also find it on my Instagram. You could DM me on Instagram the word live or talk, and I will send you the link there. If you've been waiting for a sign to get to your next level, that it is possible and you just need the tools. You need to be expanded by a room of people who achieve the things that they dream about. They don't just talk about it. I'll see you at Manifestation Live February 1st on Sunday. Okay, I'm so excited. Now let's get into the episode because this is a juicy one. On today's episode, we have yoga and sound healer Andrea Mihalik We first met back in May on my bachelorette, where Andrea facilitated the most powerful sound healing journey that I've ever experienced. We were on the beach, me and a group of my best friends, and through Andrea's magic, I teleported to a completely different dimension where I met this season of my life's guides. There are truly no words to fully explain the experience, which is why I'm beaming ear to ear with excitement that Andrea will be facilitating the yoga and sound healing on the Miami Manifestation Retreat this October. And the magic doesn't end there. On my bachelorette, Andrea shared that she was expecting and soon to be mom. She's radiant and throughout her pregnancy continued her soul work facilitating healing and events and the retreats, traveling to facilitate even her own retreats. Following along her pregnancy through Instagram has been really inspiring and expanding for me as I work through my own limiting beliefs around facilitating and still having enough energy while growing a human inside.
What a great, amazing recap. And thank you so much for seeing me and for, gosh, following along because it's have been, as you said, like it has been defining everything that I thought is possible just by opening this eyes for me of we get to do it our own way. And it's
Yeah.
totally okay. And it's totally possible.
It's so wait, so you're due in October.
Literally next week.
Next
So this
week.
baby Chino is possibly coming next week, possibly any day now. We don't know.
We don't know, but that is incredible. I remember, I don't know how many months along you were when you facilitated the healing circle, the sound healing circle.
What was the month?
It was
What was the
May.
month? It was a May, so it was around 4 months, more or less 4 months. Yeah.
You were radiant. You had a glow. Talk to me a little bit about what the journey's been like for you, carrying and
With the pregnancy specifically.
yeah.
Before getting pregnant, which I've been in a communication with the spirit baby for last year, so we had this moment of like literally connecting in the higher realms. I've been with my partner right now for 2 years, and before being with my partner, I was married for 10 years. And in my previous marriage, the things were disconnected and we didn't really speak about the kids. And we were like, oh, when the time is come, this is going to happen. But there were other disconnections happening. So it was fascinating that when I got together with my current partner, Ryan, we had this like open conversation in the beginning where there were green and red flags for us. And we spoke about the children as well. And we were like, we okay if we do have a kids and we okay if we don't have a kids. I never had this like burning desire that I need to be and want to be a mom. And finding out that I am pregnant in the beginning of this year has been so interesting and beautiful and powerful because it showed me personally, and everyone else's journey is different, but it showed me and my partner that it is a bigger decision to say, I don't want to have a kid than taking on responsibility and saying, I want to have a kid.
Hmm.
Because I've been always extremely eager to explore all the vibrancy of life and the connection with the divine and these different facets and the ways we get to really get intimate with life.
Mm-hmm.
And we realize, and I haven't even met this baby yet in this realm, but we realized with my partner that there's no other way to experience intimacy with God than through your own child, right? And then through going on this journey. So I definitely went through big transformation of understanding that this is really powerful spiritually, physically, biologically. Every facet of life basically like completely changes you. And also this like intimacy of getting together with a partner
Hmm.
and seeing the different parts of yourself and then made into mother transformation. That's another next level that completely blew my mind because I had these role models around me of doing motherhood only one way. And I was like, but I don't want to stop doing what I love to do. And I don't want to stop hosting retreats. And what if I'm not going to have the energy? And what if I'm not going to be able to carry samples to the beach and do the sessions? And what if, like everything going to change? And literally, my own journey was my own inability to realize that you get to do it your own way and you might have energy and you might be much more creative than you ever been before. And you might have brand new opportunities you never experienced before. And it all comes through embracing the timing that God brings into our lives and embracing what is in front of you as an initiation that got you to expansion ultimately. And that's journey so far. So we're gonna see what happens on the other side because it's gonna be a biggest ceremony of my life
Oh
to
my goodness.
go through birth, I think.
You spoke a little bit about how you connected with this soul pre-birth in the spiritual realm. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
When I was married, so I got married when I was 21, and through that journey of 10-year marriage, when I got into like spirituality and finding much more of my own path, even though my parents were always into like crystals and tarot and energy, but we never spoke about a God per se from spiritual point of view. Um, my own path started in like 2018, I believe, with a visit to Hawaii, and this whole journey guided me at a certain point to book Spirit Babies. I think it was 2020, if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, okay, this is interesting just to know how the souls find you. And before we get into it even deeper, how beautiful it is to actually acknowledge that every mom and every dad who have a baby, that baby actually chose you for a reason. Like, that's so powerful. No one else but you. And they wanted to experience the adventure of life with you. So I was digging a little deeper through the book and I was doing the different meditations in there. And I had these moments of connecting with the first baby, which was a girl. And then when I broke up with my ex, I had one meditation where that soul was leaving me and I could feel her like finger literally like leaving. And then this boy showed up. And he came later on when I started connecting with Ryan. And yeah, we were in Guatemala hosting our retreat in 2024, which was the last year when we were at Hag Volcano and then stayed by Lake Atitlan. And before the retreat started, besides the meditation, I actually had a beautiful journey with 5-MeO DMT, and I just went to these higher realms where I directly spoke with this boy, and he was 4 years old, and I just saw him in this gorgeous, beautiful open house space in a jungle, and I just felt the love that he's gonna bring into our lives, and I just felt this like pure heart expansion that he's expression of who we are on an elevated level. And we totally thought that he's going to come in 2026. So we were like, okay, this is so beautiful. We still have a whole year and we're going to travel and we're going to have so much fun and we're still going to enjoy ourselves, in my relationship with Orion. And when we found out in the beginning of this year that, like, oh, I'm pregnant, which was totally unexpected. And I got even pregnant outside of my ovulation window, which I was very like diligent about. So I was like, this baby is on a mission. He needs to come for a reason. That's where the like partially excitement and partially resistance started for me because I was
Mm.
like, I thought I have more time. And now everything needs to stop. And now I just got to get ready for this chapter, right? So it was a beautiful challenge for me of surrender and almost like God laughing in a way of you think you got it and you know everything, but things work out in this interesting timelines how things are meant to happen. So yeah, the first time we spoke in 2024 in April, and then he just came unexpectedly and he was like, here I am.
Wow. So I have to
Yeah.
ask, when you first saw the baby girl, was there any part of you that was a little like, oh, when she left? And then like, I wonder for you, was there like that pull of like, well, where did she go? Is she going to come back?
Recalling right now back, I don't think I ever had a preference where some people have a preference. I don't think I ever have give it like such a deep thought of like, do I want to have a boy or a girl? I was like totally okay with both. I was curious, right? How did this happen? And I never really got a clear answers because if you ever diving deeper into book Spirit Babies, like every single soul come for a reason, and some souls don't come through, they just choose us for a moment. However, even their mission in that moment was to or communicate something or for us to find something about ourselves, and the book speaks a lot on miscarriages and abortions and adoptions, and when babies are being born and the issues happen. So it's just to explore a spiritual side of the things that are sometimes hard for us to accept is so empowering because we don't really have to understand every single detail by trusting the higher power guiding us, right? And as much as we show up in our fullness in every single way, we might resist certain things, or we might to try to understand with our analytical mind, but there is always such a bigger picture and there is always a bigger reason. So yeah, it was just interesting to feel that feeling of like her like holding my pinky finger with her whole hand and then just like disappearing. I was like, mission accomplished, and there was some other spirit that was meant to come through.
I
Yeah.
love that perspective. I'm just like holding that. You spoke about how you get to do things your own way.
Mm.
And I'm curious to hear how you've been showing up in this season of your life where you're literally carrying and creating a baby. How have you still been able to have the energy levels?
That's an interesting reflection of how are we committed to our well-being. It's like a mixture of different things. And I would say add one is how are we committed to our well-being through our regular physical practices, right? Like do we have a regular workouts that really fuel us and help us feel good? Do we eat in a way that is really energizing us? Because I believe that big part of this process was for me being very mindful about what I'm eating, knowing that I have a sustained energy throughout the day. And I think 2 years ago I've been healing like such a bad inflammation of my gut and constantly being bloated, so I've been very mindful to have like always savory breakfast so I don't have a sugar cravings later on, and like the balancing the fats, carbs, and protein on my plates to make sure that I'm okay. So that was like the physiological part that was definitely helpful for me, plus going on with the movement. um and I have to say that big part of it is also like how are our beliefs programmed in our mind, right? Because what do we see around is many women talking about how do they struggle.
Hmm.
What do we see around is many women talking about what they cannot do. But it's also beautiful to have positive examples, and it's also beautiful to say that like it can also turn out really good, and we are possibly scared of how life gonna change for us when I'm not gonna have enough energy for this and that. But also there is a chance you're gonna have energy, which I had. And at the same time, the first trimester was real challenge for me because in the first trimester I had definitely much lower energy than before, and I had to slow down a little bit. So it was like a preparation. I was like, okay, we're going in and there's no way of going back, and you're gonna have to slow down a little bit. And you know what it taught me? It really taught me that my worth is not based on productivity.
Mm.
And I was definitely on a deep, deep level. If I don't produce something every single day, if I don't work on something every single day, fine-tuning websites, sending the newsletter, answering someone, I felt like the day wasn't good enough for me, or I didn't show up in my fullest. And it literally told me to like, I had like, I think 2 or 3 weeks when I was super slow. And I was like, and it's okay. And we're going to be taken care of. And we're just going to handle it. And it's fine. And I'm not lying to you, during that process, when everything completely slowed down, I had like two biggest bookings coming through where
Wow.
I literally got paid, I think in that month, it was like $3,000 for 1 hour session for like 70 people. And I was like, it's possible.
Yes.
It's just shifting into the trust of, and when you let go, the thing's gonna show up and you're always supported. How do we trust that we are always supported through that process? And it was teaching me a lot of like, loosen the grip. And now we're going to show up from inspiration. And obviously, there is a level of commitment we have in our businesses and in a level of like, I really want to execute this. But it started coming from the level of, I'm not basing my worth on how much I'm producing, but it was coming from the level of embodiment and inspiration. And this like I think it awakened different kind of drive inside of me, I would say, on a
Mm.
big, big level. Yeah.
I'm loving this so much because one of the reasons why I asked you to come onto the podcast
Mm.
specifically is because you do inspire me. When I see you on social media, now you're in your last trimester, you're 9 months pregnant, you're still smiling, you're still radiant, you're
Mm.
still going and you're still doing, and it's not complaining, it's not struggle, it's more you could see the embodiment aspect. It's like you are the one that expanding me right now. I'm like watching
Thank
you and I'm like,
you.
okay, if she could do it, I could do it too. If she could do it, I could do it
Yes.
too.
Yes, and there are so many different ways, that can go for so many different people, but to allow ourselves to think a good case scenario. Like
Right.
we should allow ourselves to overthink and think about, but it's also possible it can go well. And it's
Mm-hmm.
also possible that great things are on our way. And I am a person who is learning more and more and more, and this is one of my like personal assignments for myself, that I'm trying to not to worry about things that are not my reality right now.
Mm.
I'm aware of other people's, like what is your struggle, and I'm curious about the storytelling, and I'm curious about how other people do life. So gosh, I'm so many times curious to go into comment section of people's stories and just see like how humans are thinking and how what triggers them and how do they approach it, but from like understanding the human psyche. So I'm aware of what's happening out there, but I always come back to the space of, and this is not my case scenario right now, so why would I worry about this? Why
Mm-hmm.
would I worry about this diagnosis? Why would I worry about if this goes wrong? It's not my reality.
Correct.
And if it's going to become my reality, then I'm going to deal with it, and I'm going to, research as much information and decide how I'm going to show up in there. But many times we overthink worst case scenarios so much, or
Mm-hmm.
the conditioning that is in our subconscious because we haven't seen anyone else do things differently, that we think that that needs to be our reality as well. And you know very well through all the beautiful manifestations how powerful creators we are.
Very, very
So
powerful.
powerful.
So, something that I love about you is the research that you do. Like, you don't just take things at face value, you really go out there and see everything and then choose what's right for you.
Mm.
I even dug through your highlight around birth and I
Yes.
bought every single book that you put
Yes,
on
you
there.
got it, girl.
I,
Yes.
I got it. Something I need to know, knowing all
Bring
this,
it.
is your sun, moon, and rising sign. I have to know.
Okay, Sun, Taurus,
Oh, I love
Moon, Virgo, rising Libra. So I have a lot of Venus and a lot of that part. Definitely like Moon in Virgo is a lot of analytical thing. That's why I love inner work.
that.
I just love just dive in and feel, and then also like deconstruct the projects. And I'm a projector in human design, so I just love like going higher and see the bigger picture of the things, and contemplate on life all the time. You should. It's so funny with my partner, with Ryan, that if you just see our mornings and evenings and afternoons, like there's no small talk existing in this house. It's always like these deep contemplations on life. They're just, but have you thought about this? So he's just laughing at me all the time.
I love that. Is
Yes.
he also a projector or is he a generator?
He's manifesting generator. So he's like in his regular corporate job that he always loves to be busy. So in his regular corporate job, and he's like this, it's so funny, it's plugged into that like regular reality, and then I draw him into this like astral realms and other parts, and we also do like retreats and ceremonies together for people. So it's also interesting in a way. I'm gonna make it brighter in here. So it's also interesting in a way to see how he drips and drifts in and out, and yeah, I'm this ethereal being in this household. Just like always contemplate on higher things.
I love it. But I love it. And it really sounds like you guys balance each other out.
Yeah, it helps definitely that we are in a different elements, and then we get together, and we can balance it out. Yeah.
Something you said earlier was how the soul chooses us, right? The
Mm,
soul of the child chooses us. And it makes me think, thinking of your relationship with your parents, can you reflect and see maybe why you chose them?
interesting. I've been reflecting on this quite a lot, and I actually had this beautiful angel reading in the beginning of the year with my dear friend Neil, and he taps into like Akashic record, and he does reading through your angels, and you can ask questions or he can just give you reading. But I was asking different questions in different areas of my life, and I was actually asking about a Ra, and then I found out more information about Ra is the baby that is coming through. His name is Ra. And one of the things that I was contemplating also was like why I was born where I was born and in connection with my parents. And I truly, truly believe that I had no I had no religious direction in my life, so I have ability to just like explore on my own. And because my parents from very beginning, I grew up in Slovakia until I was 21. So I moved to United States to Miami when I was 21. And even though I didn't grow up in communism, my parents grew up in communism, or we used to call it socialism back in time. And so there wasn't that much access to all the Western spiritual books, and ideas. It was very non-spiritual era, I would say, extremely. But my parents always were into like energy. My dad could always feel energy in the hands. We always had crystals in the house. I remember my mom would tell me that if he didn't feel well or if he just felt without energy, she would give a crystal in her hands to sleep, and have it under the pillow. And they were always in the cards. And I remember when I was 18, we were going to this like tarot card reader telling us, what's the future and so on. So even though we never spoke about a God and higher power in that way, my parents were always into energy. And I think that that was one of the reasons to have like certain basics into where life gonna takes me later on.
Mm-hmm.
However, also interesting reflection is that my sister, when she was a kid, she was able to actually see the spirits and energy as the only one of us four in a family. And then it got so scared that she like fully shut it off and she became full on science, as a grown-up person right now. And I never had this like gift as her, or I never felt energy as a child as my parents would describe it. So I had this idea that there are people who are able to feel energy and there are people who are not. And even though I believe energy exists, I never experienced it. So I'm this other part of the humans who don't have access. And so I don't pay attention to it. And I like fully shut it off and didn't even think about it until I was, I think, 26 or 27. And then back in Hawaii, my like journey totally started again and everything opened up on a brand new level. Yeah. So I think that
Wow.
big part was like base of my parents being into these realms and also like planting a certain seeds. And I'm also grateful it wasn't based in a religious way, so it gave me opportunity to explore on my own how do I want to approach it in the future, which was beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like you had the exact base you needed in order to really flourish in this area. So when you went
Mhm.
on your journey in Hawaii, it wasn't all new. You already had like some of the basics.
Yeah, I was like, it's like I didn't question if it's not existing. Like I believed it, but I haven't experienced it for myself. And then through Hawaii and through like spending time in the nature in a Maui, when I got like something happened inside of me. I don't know what was it, but something happened. And from that time, it was 2018. And I got back, actually 2017. And I got back and I started exploring meditation and I was reading on Buddhism and Hinduism and I got into yoga and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I got into doing yoga teacher training. That was my beginning of the journey. And then yoga teacher training took me to Guatemala and it's just like started opening all these doors. And then the biggest moment of like awakening for me as a next step on the journey was I remember it was New Year's Eve from 2019 to 2020. And I was already on a path of like energy, yoga, all these things, putting together. And my girlfriend facilitated for me first psilocybin journey that I ever experienced. And in that moment, everything that I knew that is or I believed that is real, I was actually experiencing for myself. So I was seeing energy, I was feeling energy, I was part of this. We were in a nature and it was beautiful and very quiet space. So I became part of this force of understanding that it's not them and me who are able to see it or not able to see it, but all of us have access through different practices, through different tools, and through different gifts. And that's like opened a brand new door for me of like tapping into the higher realms and understanding. Yeah.
Wow, you just reminded me. It was in, I don't know if it was 2020 or 2021, where I was a part of a ceremony, a psilocybin ceremony, and I met one of my spirit babies. I could see him
Wow.
so
Okay, tell us
clear.
more. I want to
I'm gonna
know.
tell you, but
Mm.
I remember thinking because he had such blonde hair, such blonde hair. And I was thinking, like, where did he get this hair from? And at the time I was single, I was like, is the father of this baby gonna have blonde hair? And I grew up very blonde, but as I got older, it got darker, but this was like platinum blonde. I was like, where did he come from? I've seen a few. I've seen a few.
That isn't it exciting though to have that moment of, I always say that unseen is even more real than what we can see.
Yes, for sure.
And these like the glimpses and reminders are so powerful because we just get to tap into the information that are always around us. And I've been feeling it is so much deeper, over the last 5 years, I've been part of many different ceremonies who gave me so many different awakenings, and I literally completely changed my life because of it. Like in 2023, when I left my marriage, I literally left everything behind and I just moved with skincare and couple pieces of clothes into like empty apartment with mirror and a bed, and that was it. And to be in this space right now, that were obviously for the last 9 months, I haven't done any kind of psychedelics, which is beautiful to be in a space of deepening your own intuition and deepening your own ability to tap into this like higher realms of information, and knowing that you can have fun and enjoy yourself so beautifully in the spaces, where other people maybe need something extra, and having these intimate conversations with God through their prayers, and listening the spirit baby in a way of like asking questions, getting answers. And one of my favorite, like journaling and asking questions, getting answers, that there is like it opens the doors to a lot of things, and I'm grateful for it. But also like through connection to God, through prayer, through meditation, through nature, all this beautiful information are accessible for us. And to get into those spaces and realms makes life so vibrant and so beautiful.
I was
Yes.
going to ask, I'm curious to know whether pregnancy has heightened any of your spiritual gifts.
I would definitely say so. So two of my great senses that always been developed, and every single person has access to all, but some of them are just like naturally more developed than others, was also always hearing voices. So
Mm.
I can literally like go into meditation, and when I ask questions, I hear answers. And then feel an energy. Like I can feel energy in my hands and I can feel energy in my feet. And those are just like my two main ones. Even when I work with people and when I'm able to like touch people, like I can literally feel like the buzzing currents through my hands, and I can like say prayers and move the energy through the body. Um, it's so funny to be a projector next to Ryan, manifesting generator. Many times we cannot even sleep next to each other because projectors have so many open centers. And so when generators go to sleep, they are like a plugging the
Hmm.
outlet cable into the outlet, and they just charge, and then they like clean all the energy. But if I lay down next to him after he had a busy day, my feet start buzzing so much that I literally need to like go to sleep to the sunroom. I was like, you had a busy day, and he's like totally okay with it because he understands it by now. And I was like, I just cannot process all this energy for you, especially right now. It gets so intense. So many times we just like sleep separate after busy days, and we're totally okay with it because we can process things. So definitely heightened ability to feel. Many times I feel the energy currents, like we have a meridians in our body. So after eating something, after be around the people, after drinking certain things, I can literally feel how it
Mm.
goes through my meridians, through the brain and through the body. And yeah, then hearing. Like when I ask questions, many times it just comes as such a clear answer, and I know it's not my own voice.
Hmm.
It's just a deeper intelligence that is always, wants to communicate through us and with us if we create space for it.
Yes, I really hear this and I understand this. And
Mm. What
yeah.
what are your what are your like senses that are more attuned, that you feel like are it?
So I was born blind. So the first
Mm.
5 years of my life I didn't see.
Wow.
But nobody knew because I wouldn't fall anywhere. I wouldn't, they just thought I was slow in school because they would show me a letter and I would guess any letter in the alphabet, or they'd show me a color. In kindergarten, in my yearbook, it's like they ask all the children, like, what's your favorite color? And mine, next to my name, it says gray. Which little kid picks gray? But then when I got Lyme disease, long story short, the doctor was like, not only does she have Lyme disease, but she can't see, you need to go fix her eyes. I think during those first 5 years of my life, I really developed inner vision because
Wow.
my parents would say I was talking, I had imaginary friends, and I remember growing up like seeing a lady on the end of my bed, and she would
Amazing.
tell me things to go to sleep. And I would then, whenever I'm the oldest of five kids. I would then, when I went to go put like, if I was like putting my sister to sleep, I would tell her these stories that this lady would tell me, and I would tell her I just made it up. Like, I would say, this is a story. And I think a part of me really did think that I was imagining it. And it
Mm.
wasn't until I got older. It wasn't until, so let's say it really stopped around middle school, once you start to go through puberty and like you start being a human being. And then in 2021, I started to really see entities. Like I'd wake up in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom, and boom. And like
Wow.
I would talk to it. I'd be like, if you're really here, like make noise. And you would hear books falling on the floor. And then I'd go and no
I
books were there.
literally feel it right now as you're speaking about it.
So
Yes.
I would definitely, long story short, I'd say inner vision. Or like, I have a sense of knowing. I remember like definitely growing up, like I'd go to my dad's office and I would tell him, I don't like this girl. I don't like her. I don't like her. And he'd be like, why? She's the best one in the company. But I was a little girl. I'd just be like, I hate her. I do not like her.
Wow.
And then later he found out she was stealing a lot of money from him. So I don't know, like, so maybe it's just a sense that I get, like, like, I know right away whether it's like, no. Like, the bad part about this is that, like, I'll meet somebody and then I'll know right away. I'll say, listen, like, I did this last year and I'm going to out myself. Or 2 years ago, I once hired somebody that I really wanted to work with. And
Mm.
I told her, I said, listen, I don't think this relationship is going to end well. Like, I just have a really deep knowing, but I do think I'm going to learn so much from you. So I'm going to hire you and I'm going to learn what I can. And she must have thought like I was a little weird, like, who says that? But I'm sure she wanted my business. And I learned so much from her, and it ended terribly. So we all come from somewhere and we all come from different places. And sometimes I could really feel if somebody comes from the same place as me.
Mm.
Or like I could, if you believe in the soul contracts, I could sense when somebody's supposed to be there and it's okay if they're not meant to be there forever. You know? I think that everybody has gifts for us. And I could tap in, I'm like, you got something for me. And I'm sure I got something for her. It's an exchange, but it's like I know right away where
And
it's
it's so
leading.
and it's so powerful that he chose to go into it anyway because you know it's there for a reason. And that's how we become each other's teachers along the way.
It's
So
part of it.
good.
It's part of it. But I do call it out and I do understand that not everybody understands.
Mm.
So it's something that like I'm like, okay, like you can't tell people that. But yes, I do understand. So I would say it's a knowing. And one last one that's a cool one that I think that is special is when I dream, I could smell the dream. So I could smell
Wow.
where I am. So if I go back to the dream, I always wake up in the dream from the smell. Be like, wait a second, I was here before because I remember the smell.
Do you have a favorite sense that you come back to, not necessarily because of the dream, but just like in life? Do you have a certain sense that are just like your favorite to
Right.
be around that evoke some like deep emotion for you?
I love the smell of sage. I know some people like Palo Santo better, but if I'm meditating or if I'm in a ceremony and sage specifically is being burnt, I could go so deep. Like I could
Mm.
really go deep versus other smells, versus Palo Santo or rosemary, whatever. I love sage.
Yes.
What about you?
Sandalwood. There is
I
one of my
love sandalwood.
it's just like all the woody, Arabic scents. I have one of my significant past lives in Morocco, and I always felt like so connected to colors, the flavors, the mysticism of it. So definitely Sandalwood like takes me into that era, into something that tickles my soul.
I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
wait, I want to talk about your plans for delivery. So,
Okay.
actually bringing this baby into life, what are some of the things that you're doing that's your way?
That's my way. Well, we decided to do a home birth, which wasn't even my idea in the beginning of the pregnancy. Like in the very beginning, it was actually Ryan. I had no knowledge of anything babies when we found out of anything about a birth. If you even ask me about a placenta, I actually thought in the beginning that placenta is the sac that baby is around and not the factory of all the nutrients that is, connected to the cord. So I had a very little knowledge about anything connected to babies, and I was never around the people who had a babies, so I didn't know anything about a delivery besides from stories of my sister, of my mom, or what I saw in the movies. Because I
Hmm.
never read the books, and I never was like, okay, this is not my forte in the moment. And this journey, when it started, we've been always into more nature-based, holistic way of how we can come back to trusting the divine intelligence of the body. And Ryan just suggested, he was like, how do you feel about like giving birth in a birdhouse instead of going to the hospital? Like his initiation was coming from like it's probably better for a baby to be in more in calm environment and under bright lights.
Hmm.
It's probably better to not see first thing the people in the masks, and all the sterile environment, but rather something more cozy. And so, how do you feel about that as an idea of having something more dim light, natural, and more cozy, like home environment? And first thought that came on my mind was, but what if I don't have access to any painkillers?
Hmm.
Because that's all I knew. All I knew was women being in pain during the birth. That was my conditioning without even realizing it. And so we got down the route of like visiting the birth house, which is called Magnolia here in Miami, and speaking with midwives and then starting the whole process and checking is in there. And it was in the beginning so beautiful because you take off your shoes, there are carpets everywhere, you're barefoot, there are plants everywhere, they are not unnecessary ultrasound. So you go only for one for anatomy, and then if you need something extra, they send you, but otherwise they do blood work in their office so you don't have to go to hospital. They check the baby's heart rate in there. So all these like things to make sure that baby is in the right position and is doing well and fine are there. However, it's much more cozy environment.
Hmm.
So that was my first step of like, okay, I'm really enjoying this. And then I started educating myself more and more and more and more through the process. And I found very interesting books. And I'm actually going to send you one more book that is called
Please.
Portal. And I was like, if I found this book in very beginning, I would be probably extremely triggered and I wasn't ready for that book. But I'm so grateful I found that book towards the end because I really believe that God, Goddess, and this spirit baby was like slowly giving me information in a perfect timing what to look into. And all these synchronicities started happening that I would go on Amazon and out of nowhere, this like recommendation of the book would come up. And like, okay, I'm going to order this one. And it was the rite of birth as a rite of passage that you were showing in the
Mm.
beginning as well. That one is phenomenal. And then another one made into Mother, which was more about like the archetypal transition that you go through when you step into your power, you know? So then I met with a friend and I was speaking with Ryan, like, what maybe we could have a home birth instead of the birdhouse birth. And out of nowhere, my friend sent me a message who had a home birth. By the way, Andrea, I had a home birth, and if you need any information, I'm here for you. Without even knowing, I had this conversation. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening because synchronicities are all around. So what
Mhm.
I personally learned through my own exploration, and this doesn't mean it's for everyone, and every single one of us feels safe in a different environment. But I started asking myself, am I making my decision out of fear or out of inspiration?
Mm.
If I chose hospital, am I going to hospital because I fear that something can go wrong? Or I'm inspired to be in that environment because I feel like I'm safe and okay in there? And the answer was like, well, I'm going to hospital because I fear something can go wrong. Would I
Mhm.
feel more comfortable in a birdhouse? Probably yes, because it feels more cozy for me than a hospital. And then I continued asking about a birdhouse. Am I making decision to go to birth house over having home birth out of fear or out of inspiration? And then I'm like, well, I would probably feel much more cozy at home where I can have everything I need. and I can make it beautiful and I can create into this like big ceremony instead of fearing that something can go wrong. So I'm right there. And my home, we live in Miami Beach, so it's not like I'm going 3 hours away from the hospital. If something goes wrong, obviously there is support, and the doula midwife thing is around as a support as well. So doing the research, having support, I was like, well, the inspiration comes to do a home birth.
Mhm.
And then I started inquiring more and more and more about how giving birth and going through the process of birth is one of the biggest ceremonies we are able to enter in our lives as women. You know, all the journeys I've been part of in the past, whenever facilitating or, or participating in, allow me to get so comfortable with trusting the divine, with surrender, and with letting go of control in a way that I want to be in charge.
Mm.
That and also many of these journeys take us very far away out of our body into the higher realms, right? The bird is so special and so powerful as an opportunity for women who choose to see that way, because there are obviously going to be women who don't want to give opportunity to have a longer labor. There are women who are like, I'm not into 2 3 days labor. If it's meant to be, I would rather go to hospital, and it's okay. But if you, whoever is listening, and if you are a person who really wants to experience this opportunity as a ceremony for yourself to get intimate with every layer of your being, intimate with your baby, intimate with how embodiment can happen on such a deep level, but intimate with God and intimate with higher forces that flow through us, it is the biggest ceremony of our life. And I'm going to probably tell you after how exactly it unfolded because we don't know. However, making decision that I'm going to have a home birth, I never felt more clear and more sure in my decision in my life than right now. I feel like both of my feet are fully planted in earth. And I'm also grateful for a partner who is on very same page as me, because I think that if he was like, no, I don't trust this only hospital, that it would make much harder for me and it would be much more difficult. So definitely support system is very important, and how do you see the world together and how do you approach it together. So I know how grounded he is in many situations that require present support and surrender, and he knows my level of embodiment, attunement to my own body, and my willingness to face my shadows, and my
Mm.
willingness to get uncomfortable, and my willingness to do inner work. Because going into the home birth that is unmedicated is also like, woman needs to be actually committed to do a psychological and spiritual work prior that. And not everyone is accustomed to this, and not everyone had opportunity to explore this, right? Like not everyone is digging into their shadows with curiosity of what they have to offer, and why is this trigger coming through, and why am I fearing this. Like, it's not everyone's spot in their life, and it's okay, and it's good that we have another opportunities to be supported by hospital if that's the way. However, once again, if you feel as I am feeling inspired by the path of embracing my power as a woman and feeling the divine flow through me and having a deep connection with a baby on the level that comes through natural hormones circulating through the body without any kind of interruptions, I truly believe in divine intelligence of our bodies. And I truly believe that we step into the biggest ceremony of our life, biggest purge, and at the same time, biggest power that emerges out of it through this experience. Yeah.
Yes. But yes, my friend just she had a at-home birth, a home birth. And I was talking to her about it, and she was very, very passionate about it because when she had her first child, the doctors didn't listen to her. This was her experience. Like she didn't want the epidural, they gave it to her. There was a lot of things she didn't want to be induced. They induced her. So for her second one, she really wanted to have a voice.
Mm.
And she said to me, because she's now pregnant and she's doing another home birth, her third child, and she said, if you would have asked me the week after I gave birth, the first time I did the home birth, I would have told you that I had to think about it if I would ever do it again because I didn't know. And she said, now I, of course, I'm doing another home birth. I would never
Mm.
not do it. She's so, it was very
Power.
interesting that she said it was. yes, she said so many things that she's like she had so many sounds coming out of her that she said that she didn't
Yeah.
even recognize who she was. But I really believe that it's part of not just who we are, but yes, like this transition. It's part of like a psychological test into your next level.
So there is this beautiful saying in one of the books you have, and in another one as well, and the transition from maiden to mother, as it happens during the pregnancy, there is a one pivotal moment during the birth process itself, but when maiden gets to the point where she's like, I can't do this. Like I can't do this. Like this is not possible when the fear come overtaking. And from the psychological and archetypal point of view, it's maiden is dying because she
Mm.
actually cannot do it. And that's where the mother steps into power because mother is the one who can overcome the fear and can do it and can bring, this power into the life. So as you're saying, it is such a transformation of every single layer of our being. And that's the beautiful transition from maiden to mother that is happening in there. And I saw archetype of the mother before going through this process as, well, I don't want to just get lost in a motherhood. And I had this resistance of like, well, there are so many moms who don't have life anymore, and they're these victims to sacrifice for just their baby. And I had just this one perception of, well, it was my attachment to free spirited life. That was like, I want to have a freedom and all the time and so on. And that's a maiden as well. Like maiden doesn't want responsibility. Maiden wants to travel whenever she wants and do whatever she wants. But going through my own process and seeing that, gosh, I was dancing in the best parties in Ibiza, right? And I was hiking the mountains in there. We were going for a swims and I could still go work out. And you can still do everything that you love and you get to access even more power and even more creativity. And a big part of transition to mother from maiden is also you much more easily taking on responsibility. It's like
Mhm.
maiden, it's almost like, "Oh, I'll take care of it later. And maybe I don't want to be that responsible." But how empowering it is knowing that I'm okay with taking on responsibility and I know that I can execute this. And what is the next step that we get to do? And you can still have a fun and adventure and all the other things, but it's just awakening that part of you that is able to step even more embodiment, even more power. And what I found very transformational as well is that this archetype, and there's the story of Inanna, and Inanna is one of the ancient goddesses which I created a whole altar for my birth, and I just have all these beautiful parts in there that are reminders for me to go through the process and why I do what I do, and it feels very empowering. I'm actually planning to play sambols as well in between contractions and just like have it, and we have a this like inflatable um pool that we're gonna
Yes.
do with like all the petals and candles and sandalwood incense. So we're just gonna make it like as cozy as possible in here. Um, but the story of Inanna is also as she steps into the power and as she owns who she is, as I said before, like the facing all those shadows that were there before and owning every part of her. And sometimes it looks like challenging authorities, and sometimes it looks like challenging of what we were told that is the right way of doing things.
Mm.
And for example, I had a little like tinkling doubt inside of me. Is anyone going to help me if I'm going to say that I don't want anything from the hospital if something goes wrong, right? Like the analytical mind started overthinking. But the life is about taking a leap of faith if you really feel called to something and if you believe in something. And no one can ever guarantee you 100%. And so I choose to literally like take so many big leaps, knowing that I trust my intuition and trust my decisions while making research instead of playing it safe constantly
Mhm.
and just like following the rules that were given. And we need to question why we do things as we do things. And then we need to sit with ourselves and ask ourselves, okay, is this something that is aligned with me?
Mhm.
Like for example, when I was in the birth house and they diagnosed me with gestational diabetes. So I've always been eating healthy and I was like super surprised that it was the outcome. And they were like, okay, like after you need to right now deliver by 39 weeks and 5 days because that's a law of the Florida, and otherwise no one gonna be able to help you and then we need to induce you. And so it started putting this like pressure on me on the inside. Like I need to perform by 39 weeks right now, and otherwise everything that I don't want to happen gonna happen. And I was like, wait a minute, like I feel fine. And I feel okay, and I got it, and it's okay, and we got this. And I'm not putting pressure on myself to act according to the charts that were given by the hospital. And I'm not planning on going for induction, and I'm not planning on just like blindly saying yes without doing research of what other else is possible in there, you know? And I recently this week actually recorded a podcast episode with one of my friends who delivered her baby at 43 weeks, and she was
Wow.
in labor for 7 days. And she did it, and it was coming on and off and on and off. And she was like, it was uncomfortable, but it wasn't that painful. And I'm so grateful I did it. And if I was going according to rules of the hospital, they would right away induce me, and who knows how it would end it because there's the whole cascade of interventions. And um, once again, some people might not feel effects from it. I don't know what's going to happen in my case. I'm overthinking the best case scenario, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, you
and
have, yeah,
and I'm really like in this, even this is part of manifestation, right? Like
yes.
we always surrender to what is, but we also don't give out our power into not visualizing and focusing on and learning in an empowering way that, okay, this might not be my case. And what if it works out perfectly and this is the path I want to follow? And once again, trusting ourselves and trusting our body and trusting the divine intelligence instead of blindly following things. I think that's the biggest message for me as far as the journey of birth goes and as far as the pregnancy goes, that do your own research, find out what you resonate with, and then make your own sovereign decision. May the
Hmm.
outcome be sovereign decision for yourself that comes from alignment instead of just saying yes, what people want to do. There's so many things in our society and so many beliefs in our society are not something that really benefit us.
No, I
It's
know.
just something that was ingrained and we never even question it, you know?
Hmm. It's a
And
different, yeah. I mean, it's a difference between everything. Okay, two things I really want to say about this. One, I really do believe that giving birth, is the best, hardest test. And the best thing about tests is that and I know we can't pass or fail, but like when we overcome the test, we there's so many rewards. There's so much for us on the other side. We're in that next level. And each level that we wake up to, we literally wake up to more. The illusion, the blur leaves us or dissipates. And we can see so much more clear. We're really connected. And what's awesome about pregnancy, it's like once you're there, you got to kind of push, you got to do it. So,
there's no way of going back.
right,
And
there's
there's no way
no
of,
way.
there's no way, whatever you're scared of, there's no way of like, I'm gonna give this baby. You
Right.
know, and I always say the only way is forward.
Right, the only way is
The only
forward.
way is forward, and we go, and that's it.
And that's
And we
it.
got it. And we've been training, whatever the moment is in front of you, no matter if it is a business, if it is a relationship, if it is a spirituality, if it is a giving birth, whatever is ahead of you in this moment, you've been training for this moment for your whole life.
Yeah.
That's it. And you got it.
Hmm.
And you
Yeah.
know what? And if you need to make a decision in the future, once again, this is my own belief, future me will take care of it in the moment of happening because I'm going to have all the knowledge, all the resources I might not have right now to make that decision.
Hmm.
And so I go from what I have right now, continuously taking a step forward. And in future, we're going to handle whatever I'm overthinking or I think that's
Right.
how it's going to happen and when. And we got
Hmm.
it.
You
And
got
we just
it.
gotta trust ourselves more and more and more. And this is the beauty of what you teaching as well, the people, right? Like the manifestation and the internal alchemy and the power of creation that we hold within ourselves. That's another layer of thinning the veil.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
once we see a little deeper, it's like unlocking the codes and unlocking the new parts that we step into our power. And to
Hmm.
step into our power is knowing that we are energetic beings. And also step into our power is that there's no excuse for us in this era to say that there's no information available for us,
Mhm.
no matter if it is on the inside or on the internet and all the people. The challenge becomes right now that we are overwhelmed by information. But otherwise, if you find us someone who speaks your language, who share the concepts that really resonate with you, just dive in and learn and then ask yourself where can it take you and what it can unlock in your own life
Mhm.
on infinite levels.
I
Yes.
love this. And so, thinking about motherhood,
Hmm.
what are like one to two different aspects of doing it your way that you're really going to embody?
You know, we both say with Ryan that, and I journal this a lot when I like write a little conversations with Ra.
Oh.
We both say that in this chapter we are committed to adventure. So we really want to see this part of the journey as a beautiful adventure for all of us because you know as God, as mother looks or father looks at a baby, what we see is infinite potential. What we see that this baby can become literally anything, right? There's no conditioning, and there is this purity of anything is possible, and that the baby haven't done anything just yet. It was just being born.
Hmm.
And I always imagine that this is how is God looking at us. It's just like there is infinite potential within every single one of us. And even though we do have a certain conditioning, there is still possibility for us to become, be, do, and share whatever it is that is meant to be brought out. And so we are definitely committed to adventure. We are definitely committed to just embrace the beauty of life by seeing everything as it is for very first time.
Mm.
Because I think that's like, you're just like, look at the ocean and look at the clouds and look at all these little things happening around. So you definitely learn to be more and more present on much, much deeper levels than before. And we were we were putting together dresser drawer the other day, and I'm just like looking at Ryan putting it together and screwing things, and I'm asking him like, do you ever wonder like how are we even adults and how we even have this kind of responsibility? Like how did we get here? Like I feel like a kid sometimes, and he said this beautiful thing in the end. He's like, no, it's a good that we think in this way as well because we don't have to have it all figured out and we still get to play through the process. And maybe he gonna teach us so much instead of we teaching him so much through what we
Wow.
see. So just like flipping it as like, and it's okay to not know it all. Show us, and we're just gonna go together and figure it out all together.
I love
Yeah.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Okay,
Yes.
one question I ask everybody on the podcast is if you could go for dinner with anybody dead or alive,
Okay.
fictional or real, who would it be? Why? And what would you eat?
Okay. Ramdas. I love hanging out with Ramdas. We had this question couple weeks ago. And yeah, definitely him because I love his journey of being professor and being in psychology, which I love psychology, then going through psychedelics, right, and awakening and how they did all the crazy stuff of 70s, which 70s are such a fun era. And then the India, the devotion, the guru, and the spirituality on such a higher level. So I love the evolution of his own journey, and I would definitely love to hang out with him through different stages. And I also love when I listen to his lectures how he makes fun of himself and how he doesn't take himself so
Hmm.
seriously and how he can apply all these like higher concepts to everyday life. And I really believe that the beauty of all these spiritual concepts and these insights that we have is how do we actually bring it into everyday life and how do we live it as an everyday thing instead of just once a week yoga class or meditation or once a year retreat. But actually, how do we handle traffic and how do we handle someone's making us angry and how do we handle when we feel comparison inside of us and how do we handle when something triggers us? So just like bringing the concepts to everyday life, definitely love his lectures on that. So I would love to hang out with him for all the fun stuff.
And what would you eat?
What would I
Eat.
eat? What would I eat? I love Mediterranean food and I love Gosh, I love like some Israeli food. So maybe we'll go to Israeli restaurant. It sounds good. A lot of dips, and a lot of colors.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that. I love, love, love. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to follow you on Instagram or learn more about you, where can they find you?
Okay, so the Instagram is Andrea underscore Mihalik, and the website online is thevibrancy.com. You're gonna probably type it and write it, so it's a little easier to find.
Yes.
And yeah, there's a lot of information. Those two are main platforms.
Hey, if you like this podcast episode, please download it, give us a nice review, and follow us on Instagram at Journey with VRD to get all the latest and the greatest updates. Till next week.